Hey everyone, James Reeves, TFB TV here at Austria Arms, the best gun store in the entire world. I'm with Martin, my good buddy who works here at Austria Arms. This is Marcus's gun shop, Martin's dad. Marcus, one of the coolest guys ever. If you're in the area, Deutschwagram, right by the Glock factory, right by Vienna, stop in, say hey, look at this amazing place. Community of shooters here, they all gather here. This place is bustling right now. I am bustling internally because we have a very special edition of the MR223. The MR223, the civilian HK416 for Europe. To make things more confusing, in America we have the civilian version of the 416 called the MR556. In the US, which to me is kind of ironic that we use the metric designation of 556, where you use the American caliber designation of 223 over here, but you know, whatever it is, what it is. Now we've got a very special version. We're gonna kind of compare and contrast the 556A4 that we just got in the US this month versus what you guys have over here. But before we talk about the MR223 versus the MR556, let's get into what this version is exactly, Martin.
Well, James, this gun here is the MR223 in the latest version, and the setup of that gun is almost the exact same setup like the German Special Forces, the KSK, Kommando Spezialkräfte, are using it. And basically the gun is a 14.5-inch rifle, and they have the EOTech combo, like the hollow sight and the magnifier. Then they have few things which are quite unique on the commercial market. What they also have is the Rheinmetall laser light module. It's the VTOL, and also the Rheinmetall light, which can be activated through the pressure switch and through the regular buttons on the devices itself. Also interesting to see that they're running the Magpul foregrip. That's also quite interesting because the gun is quite high from gripping it in terms of the handguard, and that's why they're running it in that way. And also quite cool is to see that they're running 45-degree backup sights from Aerotech, which are also fitting that gun perfectly.
Let's talk about first how this differs from the civilian version, other than what we just went over. So this is the MR223. What is this, the A5, if I remember correctly?
It's the A5, yeah, it means entirely ambi. But the KSK version, like the Special Forces, they are using it, is almost ambi, but not entirely. Yeah.
Right, because they didn't want to have a magazine release button on the right hand or the left hand side of the gun.
Right.
Because they were worried about it would accidentally maybe hit
Pop
the,
out,
or if you're getting some gear out or whatever. So they removed that, which I thought was kind of interesting. But the MR223A5 is fully ambi, the civilian version.
That's true, yeah. Like the one you recently reviewed.
That's right, because that's new for us. We have the MR556A4, which is also fully ambi. And I see also that you guys have the most up-to-date furniture from the 416, like the slim line stock. You've got the SFP9 or the VP9 style pistol grip. We have that too with our A5. Is this what comes in the civilian version and in the KSK version?
Well, the civilian version is a bit different from the KSK version. We have the same stock on the civilian version, almost. Then grip-wise, this one is brand new, which is not available on the commercial MR223 guns yet. This was mounted afterwards. What's also not available on the commercial gun is the really big ambi charging handle from H&K, which is comparable to a Radiant Raptor, but it's, I think, even a bit wider than a Radiant Raptor. Yeah, so that's also what the KSK is running. And what the KSK has, and this gun does not have, is the safety. The KSK has the same safety like the MR556A4, which has this 45-degree angle when it comes to single shot, and obviously the KSK has the fully auto function, which has the 90-degree drill.
Right.
And this one is only 90-degree
semi-auto only.
Semi-auto only, yeah.
Interesting point of fact about the 416, 223, 556, whatever version you have, you've got the double-length castle nut, which of course this is, some people consider a weak point of the AR system. Here's your buffer tube, you've got your recoil assembly. If you bend this, the gun becomes non-operational. So there is a double thickness castle nut back here. I see there's also a QD sling swivel back here on this version.
That's also not 100% clone correct, if I would say, because the KSK is running H&K hooks and not QD swivels.
Unbelievable. We're not 100% clone correct. Interesting about EOTech, this is an American system. You're used to seeing aim points on European Spec Ops guns. Do you know why they're using EOTech with a KSK?
No, on the previous gun, they were using the G36. They also had the EOTechs running, and probably they're used to it, and it's not a bad system, actually. And the difference is that the KSK is like comparable to the, I would say, more like Delta Force. And then there's the other unit, which is called the KSM, which is the more naval unit, like the Navy SEALs kind of thing. And they're running the same gun, but with the aim point.
That's funny. Yeah, like McDonald's versus Burger King. I love it. Let's talk about the rail. This rail cannot be what you guys get in the MR223 civilian version.
The MR223 is a bit similar when it comes to design and also about the mounting system. It's not keymod, it's the H key, the proprietary H&K mounting system. But the civilian version, they have like the screw which you have to screw in to mount the handguard properly.
Okay.
And the KSK has it with the quick detachable lever where you just open it and then you can pop off the whole handguard.
Is it easy to get that handguard, let's say if I wanted to try to make a clone correct MR223?
The handguard is, I think, not even available on the commercial side.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
It took quite a while to source that part, and we got it from a German colleague who is also running a gun shop. So huge shout out to MB Strategic, who were able to source us the handguard for it, which is like the real KSK handguard.
We were looking at the rounded off front here. It's like, this is very interesting. Why would they do that, Martin?
Well, these are stories I've heard.
You're not sure if they're true. This is just rumor.
These are rumors, but according to the sources who were telling
we are not going to name.
Yeah, they were like, the KSK guys were invited to H&K to discuss the rifle and got some kind of samples. And then they were not happy with the original shape which H&K was submitting to them. And they were like, yeah, this does not look cool.
Dude, I always say on the program, you guys know, rule number one, always look cool. Yeah. I mean, that's super important, and that's what they did.
The KSK guys obviously showed H&K the way how they would like to have it, which shape would be appropriate to them, and then they came out.
Sure, it's very appropriate. I mean, I actually think it does look cool. Now, here's an interesting thing. If I understand correctly, the MR223 non-adjustable gas, correct? The civilian version?
Yes. It does not have adjustable gas block from the factory, and you cannot really get the original H&K adjustable gas block here. Mainly aftermarket ones, which are like from Waffenburg. They are almost identical to their OEM adjustable gas block. And this gun here, what we have, does not have an adjustable gas block. The KSK, they're running with an adjustable gas block. Yeah.
Big point for the U.S. because the MR556A4 does include a two-position suppressed and normal setting gas block, which is, I think, amazing. So that's awesome. The first versions of the MR556 that we had in the U.S. were kind of shitty. And now we've got one that I think is even better than the MR223A5, unfortunately for you guys. We're using the same barrel roughly. This is a 14.5-inch barrel. We have the option between 11 or 16. In the US, I've got the 11. I love it. What I don't love, non-chrome lined heavy barrel. A lot of people in the US believe that you guys with the MR223 get a chrome lined regular profile like the kind of medium contour, light contour barrel, but that's not true, right?
That's not the case. We also have the heavy profile barrel, which is really thick underneath the handguard until the gas block, and then it gets thinner.
Is it chrome lined or not chrome lined?
That's a good question.
You don't know?
I don't know about how.
I would bet it's not. I would bet, and everyone freaks out about non-chrome lining, but it's like you've got guns, like I can see a SIG 550 series on the wall over there. That's not a chrome lined barrel, for example. So there are a lot of really high-end guns that don't use chrome lined barrels because they want to get precision. HK you'll squeeze 1 MOA out of this gun, and HK tests their guns to 1 MOA. That's kind of a byproduct of having a heavy barrel and not having the chrome lining. If you add chrome lining, if you reduce the profile of the barrel, it makes the gun lighter. And HK says that their non-chrome lined barrels last longer than most American mil-spec chrome lined barrels. Interesting point of fact, I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention because that was a comment I saw a lot in my video about the MR556A4. Now,
So also a difference between the commercial guns and the KSK rifle, which is also, by the way, called the G95K. Yeah, the G95K is entirely Cerakoted from the receiver. Yeah, means that they have the same Cerakote color like the handguard, which is a G95K handguard, and the reason for that is being like lower IR signature under night vision. The tanodized versions, they're available on the commercial market. The KSK guns, they're like, as I said, entirely Cerakoted.
see, now that you've pointed that out, I'm disgusted.
A lot of people here are complaining about the different shades of tan because they're like the receiver here is a bit different than the upper receiver.
Baby poop green on this.
Then the
furniture.
dust cover is like in RAL 8000, so they call it like 50 shades of FD because it's always a bit different.
I think it looks cool. Finally, let's go all the way to the tip. We didn't talk about the flash hider. Is that civilian? Is that clone correct? What's the deal?
Yeah, that's a clone correct one. It's a 3-prong flash hider. Also quite funny to hear that gun shooting. You all hear this bing, bing. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those open time flash hiders do that. Yeah, but we also had an awesome suppressor combo.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. We had the Acheron suppressor, which is also not the clone correct one, but it fits on the A2 interface on that flash hider because the gun has an A2 interface. You can just swap it over and then clamp it on and it works. Yeah, interesting. The KSK are not using a A2 flash hider suppressor combination. They have the B&T Mars suppressor directly threaded on the barrel. So
interesting.
when they're using the suppressor, they're taking off the muzzle device and then they're screwing it on with the right torque. And that's how they run their suppressors.
Okay, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, there's a lot to be said for having direct thread. I'm not sure I would do it, but you know, whatever.
They're running it that way, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, no, it's like, so me, you know, look, guys, KSK guys, if you need any advice from a civilian YouTuber, you know, that's not how I would do it, but, you know, whatever. It's just, it's interesting because, you know, everyone is kind of shifting to QD. And to be fair, we're talking about other Spec Ops units, you know, most of them use like quick detach suppressors. So it's interesting to hear that they're doing that. But that suppressor that we had on there, we had cameras downrange today where we could hear firing from this gun suppressed, and I was pretty impressed actually with the suppression. I mean, that was a good suppressor.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, comparable to the B&T for sure. They're also from Switzerland, a very cool company. They make awesome attachments, especially when it comes to QD. So definitely you should check them out.
How expensive are these over here compared to everything else?
In Austria, they're around like roughly 3,000 to 3,500 euros when it comes to price range. They're really well made. They're a bit heavy, especially because of the heavier profile barrel, but they're built rock solid. They're like tank. You can't.
How much is this Schmeiser right here?
That one is around like 2,000, 1.5 to 2,000, depending on the configuration. This one is an entry level gun, so.
And that's the point. So not only at 35 euro are y'all's MR223s cheaper than our MR556s in the US, but your entry-level guns are so much more expensive. Our entry-level guns in the US are $500.
Yeah.
So when you're like, hey, you can either buy this $4,000 MR556, or you can get this $500, you know, like an Arrow or a PSA or something like that. People are going to be like, dude, I'd rather have 8 Arrows or PSAs versus that. But that said, I still think that these are wonderful guns. We got to shoot this one today because of your generosity and Austria Arms. You guys are always so hospitable to us. Really, on behalf of myself personally, on behalf of TFB TV, and on behalf of all the viewers, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it, guys. Thanks as usual for watching, and take care.